I am God. I am Poo Chocolate Cheese. Yeah. So when I poo, it has a chocolate color and smells a bit like cheese. Yeah. And, well, that's how people describe poo. Yeah. So it's interesting because, when people make cheese, there's a byproduct which is whey, or it's cheese water. Yeah, cheese water. Another thing that witches like to do is they like to make moon water, which is apparently, it's taking a container of water and placing it in the moonlight in order to, well, it's a magic ritual to, and then they label it moon water. Well, sometimes I do enemas. I haven't done one for quite a long time. But when that's the thing. An enema, what is it? It's putting water into I put water into my colon, right? Into my butt. And out it comes. That could be called moon water. Yeah. Cheese water. Yeah. Puddle of mud. That was a band I used to listen to. Puddle of Mud. Yeah. Yeah. So I've been posting some things on Facebook. And the problem is, in tarot, so there are 4 elements, there are 4 suits, okay? And that's what they call the suits. Okay? There was a time when I used to wear a suit when I was younger. I don't wear suits anymore. I mean, I could if I wanted to. I don't even own a suit anymore. I don't wear, I don't have the clothes. Suit trousers, suit jacket, shirts and tie. I don't, yeah, I think I've got a shirt somewhere. I have about 500 t-shirts and 1 pair of jeans. Yeah, I might buy a suit in the future, but whatever. Suit is a word. I mean, what does it really mean? It has lots of different meanings. And it can be used in so many different ways. People say things like suit yourself, or the suits, as in like a group of guys in suits. In a sense, I am the suit. I mean, I'm God. So, and that's the other thing, the word suit. So it's SOOT. And that is, that's like black powder. It's it comes from burning organic matter. I smoke a lot of cigarettes. I mean, I've been smoking a long time. Yeah. I mean, obviously, suit is black, and the word back is in black. What color is poo? Yeah. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because I mean, and also, cigarette ash or ass is in the word ash. And Ash is the name of the girl I lost she was the first girl I ever had sex with when I was 16 years old. Her name was Ashlyn Humphreys. She was a white girl from South Africa. Yeah. Anyways, and the school she went to was Roding. Yeah, I rode her. Yeah. Anyways, where was I? What was I going to say? So this is the thing. Cheese. Oh, no, wait. I was talking about black powder. Powder. Well, the thing about powder is the word power is in powder. And I used to have a really bad addiction to ketamine. I used to have I had an addiction to ketamine. That's why I've got yeah, my nose. I got a problem with my sinuses. I need to do something about it. Yeah, but that's the thing. Power. The word power is in the word powder, and then you wonder why some people get addicted to cocaine, Charlie, ketamine, and any other type of powder. Anyways, so yeah. Cheese. Yeah, there's a lot of cheesy things in this world. A lot of cheesy music. People with cheesy pickup lines. People with cheesy feet and cheesy butts. Cheesy pizzas. Cheese on toast. Yeah. Cheese. Most pop music, a lot of pop music is cheesy. And it's because, what it amounts to is poo magic, basically. I suppose, Jesus. What is your definition of cheesy, I suppose? But, I suppose people have different perspectives about it. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And the word way, spelled W-A-Y, is a different word than the word whey, which is W-H-E-Y, which is a byproduct of cheese, which is cheese water. And Jesus said he is the fountain of living waters. I am that's the thing. I am Jesus. I was Jesus. I am the fountain of living waters. And Yeah. The thing is that the world is the world is my poo. And any water that surrounds my poo, the water, the water that surrounds my poo, in whether it's enema or any other moisture, the world uses magic to take that water, and the world is having a good time. Look at the World Cup. Donald Trump, he goes to FIFA, and that's the thing. The name FIFA. Well, is it FIFA? Is it thief? Or is it FIFA? My dead mom, that's what her name was, Fee. And some people don't know how to say th. They say f. They don't know how to pronounce th. They say f. They'll say f instead. So thief. The World Cup, FIFA. But the World Cup, what's the thing? In tarot, the cup is supposed to represent water, but the world doesn't want water. It doesn't want, it doesn't want, it doesn't, the world doesn't have a circumcised heart. The world doesn't have real love. The world doesn't love me. It wants to, because the reason it keeps doing all this poo magic to me is because, they got their, that's from my back. You know what I mean? Like, they act like my back, you know what I mean? They don't, it's like the world is staring at my back. Do you know what I mean? The world is staring at what's behind me, instead of looking at me face to face. So, it's, I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of it. Yeah, it's gross. It's disgusting. I've talked about this so many times. Anyway, so that's the thing, the suit of cups. People, they really want, they're looking for, shit in the cup. That's the thing, that they want shit in a cup, or, a wet shit in a cup. You know what I mean? It's never, what I mean? The world just keeps trying to steal from me, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. They use all this weird, horrible magic on me, and I've got to sit here and explain it all to make it stop. I mean, that's the thing, a lot of people would say that, Jesus, how he, if you read the words of Jesus and, the gospel accounts about Jesus, a lot of people would think that, a lot of people find that cheesy. And I guess, what's your definition of cheesy, I suppose? It's, Yeah. I mean, the thing is that Jesus is associated with my past. So Jesus is associated with my butt. That's the thing. Because I was Jesus, but Jesus is associated with my butt because he was my past. It's a magic thing. So, the world keeps trying to steal what it can from me through poo magic, and I've been sitting here telling people who I am, God, and they deny me and they keep trying to steal from me. I'm really tired of it. And I'm actually tired because it's 3 a.m, and yeah, I need to go to bed soon. Yeah. Anyway, I've explained this so many times, but the thing about the world is that it's as if they have poo for brains. That's the thing. They connect. The world communicates with itself through physical material. And what I want is I want people to connect to me through spirit, the non-physical. But the thing is, the world is obsessed with what is material. Yeah. Yep. There was a song by a woman, and she's called Pixie Lott, and her song is Kiss the Stars. Well, it's an interesting song title, that. I've explained lots of times that Aaliyah Dana Houghton's ghost is on the front of me. And obviously she was what people would call a star. She was a singer. She was a famous singer. And my tongue is in her bum. So, kiss the star arse? Yeah. I mean, it applies to me in that sense. I mean, but the thing is that I am the light. I'm God. I am the light. I am all light. All light comes from me. So, yeah. Anyways, I created the universe. I created all the stars. Created the sun. Created planet Earth. Yeah. Anyway, I would like a cigarette. I have to say, I've never eaten, what people call chocolate cheese. It's like, it's chocolate mixed with cheese. But I've eaten a lot of chocolate cheesecake, which I suppose it does have cheese and it does have chocolate in it. But, it's a bit different, isn't it? I do like chocolate cheesecake. I used to be really bad about it, actually. I would buy a nice chocolate cheesecake, and I would usually just devour the entire thing. And usually that would result in me getting the squits. Yeah, I was quite bad like that. Yeah, I try not to buy chocolate cheesecakes anymore. For that reason. I mean, it's the thing, because I've lived by myself for so long that it means that, there's no one to share anything with. So whenever I get food, it's always like, okay, that's a lot for one guy. And I don't like having to put things back in the fridge. I don't like having to cut it into little portions and find a plastic bag to put it in the fridge again or anything like that. I just think, you know what, I'll eat it all now, save myself the bother. Yeah, I'm quite bad like that. Yeah. I need a chef, I think. You know what I'm saying? I need someone who will sort out the food. Cook me my food. Put on a table. Well, it certainly would take the hassle out of my life. I don't have time for it. I really don't have time for it. Anyway. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. So what was I going to talk about? So I talked about cheese. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I talked about, in a previous video, I talked about Chinese astrology. I explained that cheese is in the word Chinese. And apparently, there is a Chinese cheese that exists. It's made in a place in China called Shunda. It's spelled Shunde, but it's pronounced Shunda. As in, da is a way of saying dad. So basically it's like saying shun dad. Strange that, isn't it? And the other thing is, well, in India, they have a cheese called paneer. It's paneer, Paneer. Pa, which is another way of saying dad, near, paneer. And the thing about Indian is like saying, in, something is in, and dia means day. And an is another way of saying anus. Because, it's us, anus. And obviously, anus spelled backwards is Suna. Sunna. I used to work with a girl called Sunna, or Suna. Yeah. I didn't like her very much. She didn't like me either. I wonder why. Anyway. Yeah. And that's the other thing, because, people say, poo can smell cheesy, but then it can be described with other words as well, like eggy, like rotten egg. An egg is another one. Yeah, egg is the other food that, obviously there's Egypt. Egg is in the word Egypt. The snake and the cosmic egg. Yeah, so. It's interesting how shit, poo, is called stool. Well, what is a stool? Stool, STOOL, it can mean feces, excrement, poo, but it's also something that you would, well, it can be something that somebody sits on. I've sat on stools before. I've gone, like a bar stool, or, I've got footstools as well. Yeah. It's interesting though, isn't it? That, strange, isn't it? How these words get used for multiple different things and how they're used. Anyway. Yeah. Now, what does cheesy really mean? I mean, is cheesy a bad thing? Well, it depends what you mean by cheesy. I guess people have very, I guess people have different opinions of what cheesy means. I've actually spent most of my life avoiding things that I think are cheesy. If I hear music and I think, oh, that's cheesy. I mean, I will listen to some music I do think is cheesy, because I think some of it's quite good, but some of I quite like listening to it. But yeah, a lot. Yeah, I mean, normally I steer clear of. I try to stay away from cheesy things, cheesy movies, cheesy stories, cheesy music. Yeah. But it is strange just looking at the world. You know, it's strange looking at the world and seeing how crazy some people are. You know, how obsessed people are with cheesy things. You know, some people really, really like. You know, they like cheesy movies. They like cheesy music. They can't get enough of it. More cheese, 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 cheese. Yeah. I do eat a lot of cheese though. Yeah. I'm a guy. I consume food like pizza, macaroni and cheese quite a lot. And sometimes I'll actually buy cheese on its own. Yo, cheese and crackers. Yeah, cheese and crackers. Hmm. Well, what comes out of a crack? Cheese? Cheese and crackers. Yeah. There's that brand of crackers. It's called Jacob's Original Cream Crackers. I once actually had like a internet channel. Well, I had an account name. I put my account name as that, Jacob's Original Cream Crackers, for some reason. That was ages ago. But obviously, you know, Jacob and the 12 tribes of Israel, yeah. You know, and I used to explain to people, well, the Israelites were white people. People argue and they like to say, no, they were brown, and now I've got people who want to say they were black. They weren't. They were white people who migrated. And then they forgot who they were. Yeah. They migrated and forgot who they were. I think that has to do with the fact that, you know, when the Israelites actually migrated, they were migrating to other descendants of Abraham. You know, these were other descendants of yeah, because the Adam and Eve, they were white, and their descendants were white. So you know, they populated different areas, and there, you know, there were the Israelites, and you know what happened was, you know, the Israelites, they went off, and then there were the Judahites, the Jews, and then they went off as well, and so they would have migrated to areas where there were white people, but they weren't necessarily Israelites, and they weren't Judahites. They were, but they were white people that they were migrating to. And so I think, you know, the fact that there was this forgetting of who they were, well, it's because there was a mixture of white people. There were different groups of white people, and yeah, that's how that happened. You know, so. Anyway, Yeah, it was a video about, it was a recipe. Someone was making cheese stars with THC in them to get high. Cheese stars. I mean, that's, well, that is butthole magic. That's what that is. It's the star where the cheese comes. It's the thing that looks like a star, and the cheese comes out of it. The cheesy substance comes out of it. It smells cheesy, or like bad cheese. And then there was, obviously, South Park, cheesy poofs, cheesy poofs, cheesy poof. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cheesy puffs and Cheetos. Cheetos? Oh, when I was younger, I used to eat cheesy popcorn. Yeah, Walkers, for a while, they used to make these blue bags of cheesy popcorn, and I used to eat that. But it was limited edition. They stopped making them. Anyway, See, the thing about the word cheese is it's very similar to the word keys and kiss. So that's the thing, right? Because the word kiss, you could read that very easily as keys, and keys could be cheese, because, ch, you may not say ch, you might say you say keys instead of cheese. It's the same with, like the word third. Instead of third, you might say turd. All these people who talk about the third eye, all they're doing is shit magic. Turd, it's their third eye. You gotta open your third eye. Yeah, it's all about the butthole. It's all about people doing sodomy. That's what that is. It's those people who claim that they've opened their third eye. Really, what they've been doing sodomy and sex magic. That's really what they've been doing. That's why when in the story of Adam and Eve, it talks about their eyes opening. It's actually talking about the anus opening. That's what that is. Austrian smoked cheese. Quite like that, actually. Smoked cheese. So one cheese I don't. Oh, we got there's obviously cheddar cheese. There's mature and extra mature cheddar cheese as well. Let's not forget those. Extra mature cheese. Extra mature cheddar cheese is probably my favorite, to be honest. I mean, think of, there are a couple of brands that I've bought recently. There's Pilgrim's Choice, and there's Cathedral City as well. Cathedral City cheese. Yeah. What's the cathedral associated with? The Catholic Church. Yeah. What does Catholic really mean? It's basically, it says cat hole lick. That's all that is it's talking about oral sex. It's about licking a hole. Or it's cat hole leak. It could be lick or it could be leak. Yeah. Back pussy. Yeah. Anyway. Oh yeah. What was that guy from Linkin Park? The front man? You remember he's not alive anymore. The guy, Chester Bennington. Well, Chester, you could say he's Cheester, right? I mean, yeah, I know it's only got one E between the, CHES, but, who's to say you can't say cheese? Cheester Bennington. Yeah. And there's the game of chess as well. People like to play chess. I don't play chess. I've played chess, but it's not a game that I've really played very much. Or you could call it cheese. Yeah, that's what it is. It's cheese. You want to play some cheese? And then the Chessington World of Adventures, Cheesington World of Adventures, yeah. Manchester United, Manchester City, Cheeseham, Chesham, Cheeseham, Cheese and Ham Toasties. Chiswick, you call that Cheeswick. And then what are the, obviously, cheese is a dairy product. It's made from milk. And then you get butter, and cream. Whey, obviously, whey protein. Excuse me. But that's the thing now. Obviously, there's all these vegan products, that you get vegan cheese and vegan sausage rolls and whatever, and whatever they're made of. They're all made of all kinds of stuff. Yeah, there was a cheese. I think the company it was called BioLife. I think it was called. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Well, that's saying my ass, well, my butt is by. So, by your life. Yeah, whatever, anyway. Ooh. Cheese, cheese, cheese. You want to smell like cheese? Yeah, no one wants to smell like cheese. Do they? Yet the world is obsessed with cheese. Anyway, I think I've said enough. I'll leave it here. I'll end the video here.